Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Adobe Live. Hopefully you are carried over from the last stream, or more specifically, hopefully you're tuning in specifically for this stream, specifically for our guest. Hi, Fergie, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, thank you.
We were talking just before the stream, and I want to cover this real quick. So, Fergie, you're on the other side of the pond over in London. Can we see your water bottle? We're going to do a little drink highlight this morning because it seemed like you had a fabulous, yes.
Blood glitter. It's good vibes only, folks. That's what we're here for today.
That's it, chat. We are here for good vibes only in chat. Also, we're going to continue the Chat Olympics today. So we'll have some events for you to participate with that you can check into. My drink, I have a coffee with a tiny little umbrella on it. Just, to start the day. This feels like the good vibes only. We're there. Good vibes only today, y'all. Fergie, let's go ahead. Actually, sorry, I have a couple announcements to make. First of all, there is a file that we want to share, I believe, right? Can you tell us a little bit about the file before we get into anything?
Yes, so I decided that you all are fabulous people and you deserve a little something for joining me. So yesterday we were doing some competitive analysis, and everything that we went through that we'll recap in just a moment, I have put into a XD template document so that you can all do your own analyses as well.
Yes, and I just dropped the link in there. Oh, Wade's got it. Wade, guys, Wade is all-star. Everybody show some appreciation with Wade. We're giving Wade the moderator gold medal today for the Olympics. Gold medal right off the bat to you, Wade. All right, Fergie, let's go ahead and hop in. If you guys want to work in that file, you can grab that file from the link that Wade has just dropped for us. But let's go ahead and intro who you are. If you were here yesterday, this will be familiar. If you're new, hi, hello, welcome. Let's learn a little bit about Fergie.
Hey, everybody. Hi, friends. I see a few folks that I know in the chat. Hi, new design friends. Thanks so much for joining. So I am Fergie. That is the name I go by. So yeah, we're all friends here. And as Andrew's already mentioned, I am in London, and I just thought I'd share this lovely little photo with you all, because no matter when you try and take a picture in London, there's always a crane or five on the horizon, forever under construction. So I'm a UX designer and I work in technology consulting, but I'm also an educator, a speaker, a mentor. I do quite a lot in the UX and design world, and I'm very active in the design community, both online and in person. Some of you may have seen I was a speaker at Max last year, had a great session, and I'm super excited to say that I have another session again this year, but you're going to have to wait and see what it's all about. It's a little bit secret for now.
Ooh, so teasing secrets.
I'll tell you.
Yes, I feel like that's the vibe for Max, but leading up to Max, it's just teasing secrets.
It's such exciting secrets as well. It's like the best time. It's like designers Christmas. That's what I've always said Max is like.
It's true.
So it's like that Christmas, kid at Christmas feeling. Yeah, so like I mentioned, I'm an educator as well. So I actually teach folks who are going through a career change and wanting to enter the UX design world. So, I show them the double diamond process and the design process. As you can see, coming to you from my design lab here, you can see on my chalkboard, we've written up that double diamond just so that we remember and we don't forget. And I'm also a mentor to junior designers, because it's something that I feel is really important that, when people are starting out in their career, especially at a junior level, they really need that guidance and support system. And way back when, because I've been in design for a long time now, I actually didn't have someone in the UX world that I could talk to and ask questions and get guidance from. So my kind of personal mission is to be the senior that I needed when I was a junior for other designers. So this is why I do mentoring.
That's a great mission.
Yeah, I like to think so. So you can find me on pretty much every single social media possible, including TikTok, as we were just discussing.
Yes.
Including TikTok, because even TikTok deserves some design knowledge. over on my Instagram, I'm sharing posts in that, typical Insta style, sharing design nuggets of everything that I've learned, of best practices, of top tips, my kind of best kept secret tools that help me do things a lot quicker. On YouTube, I share a lot of, again, obviously design content, but tutorials, portfolio reviews, just lots of things around design, not super specific yet. And then also, obviously, we're here on Behance, we're on Adobe Live, but I also do live streaming on my own channel. So you can see there's a few recordings over there. And without further ado, let me just pop over there so you can have a look-see. So this is me. This is all of my projects, so you can get a little bit of an idea the type of thing that I enjoy doing. And these are all passion projects. These are literally things that I just kind of dream up and just do for fun, because I'm a total design geek, and that's okay.
And there's one specific thing that I do want to talk about here that if you all missed it yesterday, and that's the book club. You run a design book club. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So I set this up a couple of months ago, and I've started to create an app for it. So hopefully that will come out kind of soon. But the book club is basically a little community of designers, and we all are just wanting to learn more about UX. There's always something new to learn or something to read up on. With the whole design process, it covers quite a lot of different practices. So it's just a little community of us that we chat and then read books together at the same time. So, we're working out how it really works, because there's a lot of folks from different parts of the world in there, which is just really amazing to see. Yeah, it's really nice. So.
And we're all about community here on Adobe Live. It's the thing that we do. And speaking of community, at the end of the stream, we'll be doing a community spotlight. We'll be highlighting an artist from our community. So make sure you stick around all the way to the end of the stream. And also, if you want to recommend one of your friends or someone someone on Behance, you can go ahead and click. Let's see, where's my body? I'm here. Click that way. I'm looking at the monitor over in the corner, right underneath the chat, 2 tabs over. There's an artist spotlight tab that you can click right there and submit someone to be featured in the artist spotlight. All right, Fergie.
Amazing. Looking forward to that.
Think we're ready to hop in. We did a ton of research, a ton of setup yesterday, and we're going to kind of continue that today. Do you want to do just like a quick recap of kind of where we went and then where we're going today?
Yes, of course. So yesterday we introduced the project, and I'll quickly nip over that. We did some competitor analysis, we got some inspo, and we started wireframing. Today we're going to continue wireframing, then we're going to apply some visual styling, some UI, and then we're going to be prototyping everything up to be really cool and animated.
Yes, the magic.
We love a little bit of auto-animate over here. So the app that we're working on is kind of around holistic wellness. Now more than ever, our well-being and mental health is just so important, and we need to be making that a priority and putting ourselves first. So the goal with this app is to provide wellness in a really flexible way that suits everybody. And I want it to encourage people to, like I said, put themselves and their health first. Through doing some, sort of looking around, a lot of apps are really aimed at women quite a lot. They're all cutesy and pastel pink and everything. We want to make ours appealing to everybody, men, women, non-binary, just everybody.
Yep.
This is important for everyone. So a few key aspects that we're also trying to include in this is that our app will have a frictionless user experience. We're going to have it personalized if the user chooses to sign up, and then maybe only slight personalization if they don't sign up, because data and data security is a really big thing. And when you first get an app, you don't want to suddenly just give it all your data before you even tried it or used it or know if you're even going to like it. So guard your data. It's important and it's valuable. We're looking to have ways of it being guided and unguided, so users have an option. We were thinking about studio bookings and on-demand content, and we're hoping that our users can go at their own pace. So that's kind of the basis we started off with yesterday. And I had a bit of a mood board. Now, like I mentioned, you can see all of these it's very similar hues, it's very similar color palettes, very, very, very pastel color. There's nothing that's really kind of bright or bold or, I don't know, just really engaging in that kind of eye-catching way.
This is almost like anti-mood board, that it's like, cool, this is like the vibe that like some of it we want, but we really want to like separate ourselves from what's happening here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So this is kind of what we want but don't want.
Yep, exactly. Yes.
Kind of
Yes. We like the idea of this, but the applications like will change a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like this, the things that the apps contain is kind of what we want, but the look and feel, we're just going for something a little bit different, a little bit more of a vibe. So yesterday, let's get over here, and you'll see my little key prompts. So if anyone's looking for shortcuts, my top, hopefully it's top right hand corner, that is where to look for those. You'll see like if I hold down a key, it comes up like that. So just to mention, for you wonder what they are. So we started off with doing a competitive review. So I had found some competitor apps for the things that we were looking at, because we were looking at things like yoga, meditation, maybe even like something like sound baths, just very different things that could improve your overall well-being. So we started to look at Calm, Headspace, Azure, ClassPass, and Third Ear. And by using the App Store, we were able to gather a lot of research data about these apps from the comfort of our very own design lab right here.
Yes.
So it just goes to show that you can do a lot of research with very kind of like low effort and zero budget.
Yeah. And if y'all missed it yesterday, like literally we just went to the App Store, looked at reviews, and it gave us all the research that we needed, right? Things that people liked, things that people didn't like, features that they wanted included. Like there was so much great content there that our user research had already been done for us. And so that was like the ultimate takeaway for me is like, oh, if I need user research, it already exists somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So we pulled out the star rating of the apps. So they're all actually performing pretty well. So they're generally what I would say is probably the most popular within that sort of health and fitness well-being sector of apps, or group of apps, category, whichever word you want to use. And we, like Andrea said, we pulled out some likes and some pain points we read in the reviews. So this is just really important things that we want to keep in mind, that we kind of, the pain points, obviously we want to make sure we don't do these things. You know, there was a lot of complaints about going from a free version of the app getting forced onto, excuse me, forced onto a paid subscription. And these paid subscriptions are not cheap. They're like £60 plus a month. And that's like $70-ish. Like no one has a spare, you know, a spare 100 sitting around every month to spend on an app when they don't want to.
Yes.
They were getting frustrated that some content was kind of being locked out. So on a journaling app, Azure, for example, the users couldn't go back in time, like 3 months, say, or even a couple of weeks, and look at the journal entry they had written that was suddenly locked, and they had to pay to unlock that. This is something that they have written in the app. It's, you know, it's their content, and they're now being denied access to it. So that is really poor. So yeah, we pulled out all of these different points so that we knew what to do and not do. And then we also did a feature comparison. So these two research artboards, this is kind of what's in the template as well. I'll just bring it up here so you can see. Looks a little something like that. So you can just replace everything with your own stuff. And there's a few notes in there so you can comfortably do this by yourself. And obviously the links to watch the replay in case you want to, you know, hear about how we do it again. But yeah, so the feature comparison, you can see it's literally just each app and what feature does the app have. And then our app, we don't quite have a name yet, so I've got a few ideas, but I'd love to hear what the chat think always.
Ooh, Val, I think that right off the bat, we're going to do another poll. If we want to, can we drop those in and create another poll like we did yesterday in chat? You're going to get to vote. This is going to be our second event, I guess, of Chat Olympics. It's maybe the second finals of the voting event. So Val's going to create a little survey for us. She'll drop a link in a little bit, and then we can come up with a name. If you vote, let us know in chat, and some people win some medals. These are great.
Amazing. So we selected the ones that we were looking at for our app, and then we sort of narrowed it down with the poll. You can see I have my ever so bold pink asterisks here. That's just my way of adding my own notes and kind of annotations to my documents. Yep. I always just put them in bright pink. It's like my brand color.
Same. Yes.
As you can tell.
Yep. Comic Sans bright pink, because I know that I would never use that. So I'm like, okay, I need to do something here. What's my note to myself?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm not even going to bring up the other font that we learned about last week. So we want to make sure that our app, at least for the MVP, which is the minimum viable product, you know, that's sort of first release that we want to get out to our users, is going to include the meditation, some free resources, some sleep sounds, and vent mail. So this is an amazing concept we came up with. Yes. And honestly, I feel like I want to go away and make this into an app, like an actual real thing after this stream. So hey, watch this space, folks. You may be hearing from me in an app store near you soon.
It would be really fun as a standalone app to where it just sends that to another random user. So it doesn't go like to the actual person, but like another random user actually gets the message. Like, you know that someone's hearing you, and you just have a little inbox. It's like, cool, you got a random message from someone in the world who's angry about something.
Oh, wow, that's like a whole nother level up. That would be amazing. Can you imagine? That would be quite like comedy gold. Oh gosh. So that's kind of, that's where we got to. So I've got our focus features over here. Then we added breathwork towards the end of the stream. It was mentioned in chat, and I think that was a really cool idea. So I wanted to include that because I think meditation and sleep sounds, the design of those screens may be fairly similar, because it's going to be playing an audio, and it's going to be playing an audio when the user's not really meant to be looking at the screen. Obviously, you're supposed to close your eyes to sleep, or you're supposed to close your eyes to meditate. So we're going to make those screens, but they'll probably be rather minimal. So we'll do one, and it'll probably be a design pattern that's kind of like used for both. So we added in breathwork because I have a little exciting idea that I think we could try.
Ooh.
Yes. So yeah, I had a few name ideas. They're, not the best things, because I think picking a name is the hardest thing ever.
Yes.
And I had to play around with like making an icon. It's not really what we're here for, but it's a nice little extra. Just playing around with patterns and symbols and things, but without a name, an icon doesn't really mean anything.
Yes.
So we started to create a few, excuse me, let me get some water.
Yes, hydration breaks. Everyone, if you're watching this, go drink some water. We just grab a glass, turn up the volume, walk to the kitchen, get some water, stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Good vibes only.
Good vibes, good hydrated vibes. I've clearly been talking way too much today.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. So yesterday we started to create a few kind of onboarding type screens. So we created a login. I've just gone in and tidied it up since, so it's just a little bit neater. And this way I can share with you all how I kind of get these wireframes out quite keeping them quite tidy and quite organized, so that then when we're going from wireframe to UI design, it's like less kind of work to do. So I'll also share a few little things that I do there. And yeah, we have a few placeholders ready for us to work on. And I found a cute illustration that I really like that is fun. We might use. We'll see how it goes, but it's just there so I don't forget about it.
Yes.
So that's where we're at.
Yes. And today, what are our goals defining between now and an hour and a half from now?
So by the end of this, what I hope we will have done is wireframed these screens and started to apply some of the UI. So I have a whole lot of color palettes that I've gone on to Adobe Color and added to a special library. We love Adobe Color. Don't think your screens are ready for all the brightness that's about to be shown.
Whoa.
Not a pastel in sight.
Yes. Wow. This is like pops.
Yeah, we want it to be, we want it to be really happy and bright, but not in a way that's going to offend anybody if they're using the app when, they're maybe not in that kind of happy mood, but the bright color might just cheer them up.
Yep. Absolutely. Ooh,
so I'm going to use color quite thoughtfully.
Yes. And then, of course, we're going to apply some XD magic and try to get things moving and shaking and clicking and scrolling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I'm very excited for that part.
Yes.
So what we might do is work on the wireframes, and then we'll go through a section at a time doing, some UI and some prototyping so that we cover off some of the cool things that I have planned for certain sections, like the breathwork and sleep sounds.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a little hint down here of a little something that I'm like, With a
Ooh.
little something down there with auto-animate and some time triggers.
Oh, I'm so excited. All right, let's jump in and see where we go. We got probably an hour and a half-ish, and then we'll do our artist spotlight. But we're under deadline, so we're gonna party so hard.
All right, we're gonna get going. So we've covered this off. If people want to log in or just skip past all of that, we ask them for their preferences. So and this, I don't really know how to word this kind of question, but like, the app is asking them, what do you want us to call you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This feels very formal, so I might change that wording. How would you like to be addressed? I'm like, oh, don't call me sir or madam. I don't know.
Maybe we do. Oh yeah. What do you think? I was gonna say, do like name and pronouns of like. Like, what's your name? What are your pronouns? Seems like conversational. And someone's asking Voodoo Val, is there an easy way to access Adobe Color within XD itself? Do you know if there is, Fergie?
Within XD? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think there is. I know in Illustrator, it is plugged in with some of the new edit color tools. Somebody said that it disappeared, but I think that it's still there, or maybe I just haven't updated yet. But I know that within Illustrator there is a way to pull it straight up out of there. So I know there's ways, like all the cloud things obviously are in here, but I know, like, for example, if I click on this little graphic that I've added here, because I just went through stock and was like, these things are kind of nice, I can say find similar, and it will, with stock, it will just go into a search and find me similar images. Yes.
So you can do that straight within XD. But I don't think you can do it with the colors. No.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Sad day.
But if you want Adobe Color, which tab do I need?
Color.adobe.com with a C, not a K anymore.
And with no U.
Yes.
If you're British like me, don't always spelling it wrong when I type. And I'm like, wait, where's it gone? And I'm like, oh, spelling.
Yes.
And if you've not seen it before, let's just give a quick overview. So you can basically like pick a main color, and then depending on what kind of color harmony rule you want to select, it will automatically start to create some color palettes for you. So if we know we want to use, like, I don't know, an orange, if we want a complementary palette, that would be oranges and blues, square, you know, it does it all for you, so you don't have to work it out.
And before you finish, there is that little checkbox on the corner of check for accessibility. Yes. We've talked a lot about that. Oh, you're going literally right there to the accessibility tools. Yes.
Yeah, so this is really amazing. So right within Adobe Color, you're getting things like contrast ratio with the example. It's telling you whether it's going to fail or pass accessibility standards. But not only that, you can check for accessibility, and it will bring up these colorblind simulators. So for example, color A, this orange here, this is how it is seen by people that might have these different color blindness. This is color blindness types. I'm tripping over all the words today. Because it's not just about, you know, red-green color blindness is a really commonly known visual impairment, but there's a few different types to be aware of and how that affects how people see everything. So we might think that, you know, we're creating this beautiful thing, but it might look really weird and bizarre for somebody else who sees colors differently.
Yep. And I can confirm, I just opened Illustrator and tried to do my normal process of getting palettes, and it does not exist. It has a warning that comes up that says it has been removed since July. So it is removed, which means that I need to change one of my daily creative challenges because we were going to cover that feature and it no longer exists. So we'll just talk about color later on. But yes, this is a great resource, and especially for accessibility. It's just an easy extra check to make sure that more people can use your product and understand the product, which is always important, especially with mental health stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if you found this yet, but I found this today when I was playing around. Did you know there's a color game?
Oh, yes. Yes. It's the greatest thing. Yes.
So you're all going to be familiar. We're not going to sit here and play a game because, you know, it's not what we're here for. But it's that game where you have to hit the same thing that lights up. So hey, next time you're bored on a call or in a meeting, then you can go and play a little color game.
Yes, yes. And someone asking, why did they remove it? I don't know, but I'm really hoping, and here's what my guess is, that like maybe there's something coming that is just going to like blow that feature out of the water. So that's what I'm hoping, is it will come back with a vengeance in some other way. But fingers crossed, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully, because that was really useful.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are all the different kind of colors. I'd love to hear what chat think about what kind of colors we should use. Obviously, they're going to be bright, but what colors do you think go together? I have too many palettes to pick from right now.
Chat, let us know what kind of color vibes we want. We did make sure that we want this to cater to a broad audience, and specifically go after a little bit more of almost like a masculine lean on the kind of color, so it isn't the pastels, it isn't as soft. So let us know what colors you think are working for us, and we can kind of incorporate those, pick them from one of these palettes and see what we vibe with. Yes, and the cool thing is, I believe that XD has a lot of features that will like help to update a lot of things at the same time, instead of us doing like one by one, right?
Yes, so you'll see here I've got a libraries panel, but then at the top of my libraries panel we have a document assets, and that's kind of like a library for this document that I have open. So this blue that I'm using here for the wireframes, for example, if I were to add this as a color into my assets panel, and I'm not clicking the plus button because freeze.
Do you need a color selected? Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
What did I have clicked on before?
I think it was deselected.
Oh, there we go. It would help if I'm like watching what I'm doing. So you can see the blue is now added here. And then what we can actually do is just right click it and click edit. And then this is the really fun part. We can start to change this and see live exactly what that would look like.
It's like global colors in InDesign, but live, which is just a whole nother world.
Yeah, the live part is really fun because you can see exactly everywhere it's going to go, which is just, yeah, it's a lot of fun. We won't do that because then everything's going to be a bit,
just chaos.
A bit messy. Let me leave that alone for a second.
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing I was going to jump into here is this kind of main screen. So the first screen that our users would land on and see once they come into the app. I was trying to think of like helpful, useful things that users might want to see here. I don't really know if there's any kind of stat, you know, like, oh, you've listened to, I don't know, 3 meditations, or you've meditated for this long this week, like to make it kind of like targets and goals maybe. They've listened to a certain number of sleep skates, they've done this long this much of meditation, and then maybe recommend content to them based on things that they've interacted with. So that's kind of my thoughts here.
Yeah, and a question from Raphael that I'm interested in as well. Is there a difference between global colors and components? What would be the kind of difference between that, or is it kind of the same thing?
It's similar. So if I make this button here, let's just make that a component. So then you can see, because a lot of my components are in this wireframe blue color. And if we edit that here, you'll see that it does change it within components as well. So it just is whenever that color, anywhere and everywhere that color is, regardless of whether it's a component or not, it will change it. So making something a component doesn't save it or stop it from being updated if you're changing the colors like that.
Yep. And a component, if you change the content and that component was somewhere else, it would update the content of that component, whereas the colors only apply to the colors, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if I were to, we have this as a component, if I were to copy and paste that on a different screen over here, for example, you'll see that this one has a solid green diamond in the top left. That means that's the main component. And then this one is a hollow, just green outline. And that means that's an instance. So if I go ahead and change on the main component, like that blue color to green, you'll see it will do it on both. And we can do it that way around.
Yep, and it's not changing the entirety of that color, only on that component.
No, exactly, yeah. But if we did it the other way around, so if I'm on the instance now and I change that to orange, you see it won't like affect any, it's like, it doesn't bubble up, it doesn't put the change onto the main component. It only
That's
is
awesome.
on that one single instance.
Man,
so it
that's
won't change
such
all
a
the
time
instances. It
saver.
will just be just the one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go, Raphael. Thanks for asking questions. Chat, if you have any other questions, of course, toss them in chat. We're here to help you learn. We're here to learn together. And of course, we're here to collaborate, which Voodoo Val is saying some teal, orange, yellow, lavender seems like it could feel fresh and full of life, but not gender specific.
Lavender. Okay. Trying to imagine a non-pastel lavender. That would be kind of nice. Teal, orange, lavender.
I wonder if, yeah, almost it was like a, hold on, let me make sure. Like a bougainvillea, is that? Bougainvillea. I think it's a kind of flower that's like kind of magenta-y. It's like a mix between a magenta and a lavender.
Ooh.
Oh yes. Okay, I'm going to. Yes, I'm gonna send you. Well, I'll drop this in the chat for a reference.
What else are you?
See if this breaks anything. All right.
How many vent mails have I sent?
Yes, vent mail. Yes.
Only 2 this week, so it wasn't a bad week, you know. 2 mails.
I wonder too if we have some kind of icon or some kind of indication there of like, you know, the red, green, yellow, some kind of, you know, like, hey, you're doing great here. Like only 2 vent emails, like check mark, green, you're doing great. Or like, oh, you're not meditating enough. It's like a little yellow, kind of whatever, something to like gauge those achievements maybe in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be quite good. Let's think. Do I have a smiley face in here? Yes. So maybe we can use, so I'm just using the icons for design plugin.
Yes.
Maybe we could use some smiley faces.
Oh.
Was kind of nice. So we could use type emojis in here. Smiley. Dun, 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 dun.
Is there emoji support in XD?
I think so. Oh, that would have been like amazing. I feel like I've probably tried to do that, and every time I forget that I can't do it.
Right.
One of those things.
World-changing feature. Adobe Max 2021. What we want to see is emoji in XD. Speaking of emoji,
not asking for much.
Yeah, let's do another Chat Olympics. Toss your favorite emoji in chat. We'll pick somebody as our winner. Go ahead and drop it in there. And let us know what your favorite emoji is. We're gonna have some fun today. Good vibes only again.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for. All right, let's see. Can I be talented enough?
Okay, all right, we have a solution here. Thank you. Who dropped this in chat? Franco said this, linked to an article from Adobe on July 14th, the Adobe Color Themes panel will be disabled in Photoshop, Illustrator, all programs. This is unfortunately a ramification of technical limitations the panel faces, but we will be bringing back the creative tools into applications by integrating them with libraries panel in the future. So it will return. It will be a triumphant day.
That's okay. Panic over. We will get it back.
Yes.
That's awesome. Like what I might do as well is we could put like, maybe we could put a border. Try to make it like not too, like we want it to be bright and bold, but we're not going to want it to be in the face. So maybe we can use like a traffic light border, and it's going to have some sort of fill as well. And then the smiley face indicator can be kind of like cut out in black or white, maybe.
Yeah. And when you're doing like a larger project like this, where you kind of know where you want to go here and there, do you kind of just work screen to screen and get one screen done and then move on to the next one? Or is it like, oh, we kind of go all over the place? What's your process to addressing like the giant ball of all of the things?
Yeah, I typically will do screen by screen, just so that I know once that screen's done, it is done. And I don't have to go back for it. Nothing gets forgotten. Because I find if I, for example, start to want to change this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the button, and then I'm going to do the button on all the buttons everywhere. You're just jumping around a lot.
Yep.
Whereas quite a clever way of working is if you've wireframed and then you want to turn that into your UI, is kind of taking your button like wireframe, how we have here, and we could turn that into a component, just pull out all our styling and everything. and then we can just kind of paste it in place whenever we need it. We can add that in from our document assets.
Yep.
So yeah, there's so many ways of working and of doing things that it's really just about what works for each individual.
Yeah, we actually talk about that a lot on these streams. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. As long as you get to where you want to go, like, who cares how you get there? Like, there's a lot of education and teaching about like, oh, try this, try that. But like, if you figure out a different way or you work in a different workflow, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's different.
It's just different. It's different. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with doing things differently.
Yep.
So then let's have some, let's do some like recommended things. Yeah. Love repeat grid. You guys know that by now. Makes these things so much easier.
Yes.
So we'll have some sort of like something there. Let's put a little title in. And I'm also super happy that there's a spell checker in XD because my spelling is the worst, the absolute worst. And I would be so lost without a spell check.
Yes, I just recently found the like auto spell checker in Illustrator that it will like actually underline as you do things wrong, and it's just world changer. Because I used to like manually run spell check every time, and you can turn it on so that it just notifies you right away with the little squiggles underneath if you spell something wrong. That's so much better than having to run and scroll through every single thing.
Yeah. It really is. It's small things like that make such a difference.
Yep. And workflow question from Tomats. Do you keep your main components outside of the artboard, or do you keep them on the artboard just the first time you use them?
On smaller projects, I might just leave them on the artboard, like on my personal stuff, because I don't have to work with anybody else for that. But typically when I'm using XD for work, I will like create either a separate artboard full of containers or just artboard full of containers, artboard full of components, or I will just leave them off kind of to the side of the artboard, so we always know that like they're all there.
Yep.
But if you don't know where one of them kind of are, where any of them are, you can just do a left click, and these ones are linked from another document. But for example, if it were local, it would just zoom into where it is on that document. So you can see these are being pulled in. Let me show you the file actually from this document here, which is full of amazing, delicious wireframe goodness. So I did show you all how to get this yesterday, but let me do it again for folks who may have joined today. But in XD, if you just go to File, Get UI Kits, and go Wireframes, this will take you to a Behance page where you can download this awesome kit. There's a mobile one and a web one. Yes. So two different versions. But what I love is that, you know, it's kind of got all the different components you could need. So it's just a really good starting point. So you never really have to start from zero, from absolutely nothing, unless you really want to and you enjoy that process. Again, different people work in different ways, and you might work differently. Like I would work very differently now because I have a very short time constraint compared to when I'm just leisurely working on a passion project and doing it when I feel how I feel and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with, you know, using resources and templates that are out there. You know, don't feel any kind of guilt or any kind of way about it. So I know some people always feel like they have to do everything from scratch, but you don't. It's okay.
Yeah. The main thing about being a creative, I think, is your perspective, not necessarily your application a lot of times. So having resources like that, like no shame in using something that already exists as long as you apply your perspective to it, because then it makes it original. Everything's just iteration. And so make sure you iterate on it and it will turn into something new.
Exactly.
Ooh, wind.
Yeah, I'm just like, there's some things that I might try and think about detail for. Like if an idea just comes from me, but I know I need it in this nav bar to add the icons for the different areas of the app. And I went with a nav bar rather than like a burger menu or anything like that, just so that it's easier. And the users always know how to find everything. It's like going between things. It's like only ever kind of really a tap or two taps away. Again, there used to be like a kind of UX rule about it shouldn't be more than 5 clicks, but that's not really a thing. That's kind of ancient ancient UX scripture.
Rules are meant to be broken.
Exactly.
And I forgot to give out our medals for our emoji contest for our Chat Olympics. Gold is going to go to Megan for the dinosaur emoji. We love dinosaurs here on stream. Gareth, chocolate. We also love chocolate here. And Bliss, you'll get our bronze for the sad, exhausted face, because I think that some of us are vibing that way today. So great job, chat. Congratulations. It's so helpful to have, I think the thing that I see people use in XD that I want everywhere else, and maybe it is and I just don't use it in my workflow, is the amount of like plugins and stuff that are helpful in the workflow. I just feel like XD is like the program that has all this crazy support for all these plugins that are constantly being made and updated. And it just seems like such a robust system to get things in to save you a bunch of time.
Yeah, it really is. I can't even like that. If there was no plugins here, then things would take me so much longer. There's so many.
Yes.
From, you know, like how I'm getting icons here, to adding lorem ipsum, to doing a find and replace. If, you know, we've decided on app name and we'd written it everywhere in our designs, how tedious is it to go through all of those app screens just to change like the app name?
Yep.
So you could do a find and replace, which you couldn't do before. How we were just mentioning doing the color simulators,
yep.
stock is really good for that as well. Then there's even things to do user testing with, like Useberry and user testing. XD does everything in my book. I actually did an XD snacks session with the UK team during July, and I had a session on plugins. So I'll have to try and find that link.
Yes.
So we can add it in, but it's on my LinkedIn. So
yes, chat, if you can
find it. Many people already
have
me on LinkedIn.
It. Yes.
Go grab it. It was on my Instagram. Wondering if it's still there. It may be. Link in bio.
Yes.
Cringe. Okay, I'm gonna have some recommended things. I think that's all I really want on the home screen. I don't really want the user to be bombarded with so many alerts and things, unless they've kind of chosen to have that. So yeah, that's where we're gonna kind of leave that. I don't know, we might put in like not a quote, because I think quotes can be quite cheesy, but some sort of.
Yeah, somebody had said something yesterday about this idea of like some kind of affirmation, some kind of like you're doing great, like, you know, something that was an encouragement. And I think that would be cool to have, not necessarily that it's like, oh, it's inspirational and like you can do it, but something, you know, that feels like, hey, you're doing okay. Like today's going to be a great one. Go get it.
Yeah, I'll just move this over here. I don't think we need this one anymore. So what I might do is make a, oops, let's not do that. I didn't see that. I didn't do that.
Little squishy person.
I just think he's so cute. I kind of just, you know, he could be our little mascot. And I kind of like that it's a person that could be, you know.
That illustration style is one of my favorites, to where everything just feels a little bit like blobby and wiggly. It just feels fun.
Yeah, I really like it. Okay, we're going to move to sleep sounds, because this is what I'm quite excited for. So you can see I've done a cheeky little bit of prep here, because I had to test it out. You know, I've got to make sure things are going to work before we do it on a live.
It's important, yeah.
Yeah, I don't need that, you know, on my record. They might take my XD ambassadorship away from me. So what I've done here, if I go to my layers panel, should be able to see, is that I just have these kind of paths that I've drawn with the pen tool, and then I've just given them different thickness with the borders and different kind of transparency, so that you can sort of see through them and you get that overlay kind of effect. But we're going to do something really fun with auto-animate with these. So what I'm wanting to do is kind of put these to the bottom of the screen, and then as our sleep sounds, or as the meditation plays, you get these just really calm, just really beautiful, kind of almost like sound waves, but, you know, aesthetic.
Yes, just the vibes.
Yeah, all about
Which
vibes.
I love that you did. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Somebody had a question about it of like, how organized do you keep your artboards? The magic about artboards in every Adobe program is once you hit that border, it is full anarchy. It is full whatever needs to be outside doesn't matter. And so I love that it's like, okay, we have these nice clean lines and box. Like anything that's over that edge, who cares? It's only about what is going on this on the actual artboard.
Yeah, and even if it's just on the artboard by a single pixel. So for example, if I were to like, let me zoom in and show you all. If I were to like pull this play button off, so it's on my pasteboard and buttered right up to the artboard, it's not there. But if I just tap that over by 1 pixel, it's now considered, you know, an element of my artboard. So that's really super handy when we do auto animate of things.
Yes.
So that combined with changing the opacity. Yeah, you can create all kinds of things, but that's the key thing to remember. Once it's off the artboard and it's on the pasteboard, it won't be related between your artboards. It will just break your beautiful animation.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. Remember that one. Okay, we're just going to have a play button. Yeah, it has to, so a good thing to know is that the minimum size for buttons is 45 pixels square to be accessible. We're going larger than that because we just want it to be really easy. If someone's kind of tired and just like, oh, I just want to see, you don't want to have to start fiddling to really like get the button.
Yep.
You might want to pause it when you're half asleep or turn it off or something like that.
Yes.
So yeah. In fact, you know what? We're going to be really extra and make this ourselves so we can animate it.
Ooh. And there's a great app. Actually, there's a lot of good suggestions coming in for different names that are coming in. And I think that one that could be interesting. So we have you, love yourself, elevate, boost. Yes, we can. I think doing something like elevated boost or something could be interesting to combine some of these, or like self-elevate. I think that you have some interesting ideas here. Chat, keep them coming and we'll see if we can land on something.
Elevated, I like that one.
Yeah.
Boost is quite cool. I love yourself. I did come across a graphic with like one of these little hearts because I was looking on looking everywhere. It's like on Blush Design, if anybody knows that.
Oh yeah, Pablo Stanley, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely adore.
Yes. Pablo is
really
one of my favorite people in the design industry. He just has such a great energy and he's so fun.
Yeah. He has some really, really beautiful designs.
Yep.
Going over there. Okay, I'm gonna draw a really basic play button.
And chat, keep in mind as we're thinking of names, again, we're trying to lean toward getting a little more of a masculine audience. And so I think that can go into, again, copywriting, naming, not necessarily just the colors and stuff. The brand is the entire thing. And so the naming even can go there.
Yes, most definitely.
So are you building it in pieces by yourself so that you can have better control over something in the future?
Yes. So
nice.
you saw I put like one of these icons in, and you know that could also just have been a placeholder, but I've decided I could start to draw it now because what I want to be able to do is auto-animate between. Oh, my voice is going. I want to be able to auto-animate between play and pause. So by drawing that with the pencil and kind of doing it myself, it just gives me a lot more freedom and flexibility.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's always nice to have every individual piece, especially when you know, like, oh, I think I'm going to do something with this. Being able, even if you have a resource, just trying over it or breaking it out is so much more helpful than having something that's just pre-built. Every little detail matters, especially in something like this. And so if you have the ability to add an extra little touch of something, it really becomes noticeable. When it's this kind of minimalist look, every tiny little thing is a huge deal. Ooh, Kevin, elate. That's a fun idea. Let's see what the actual definition of that is. Make someone ecstatically happy, in high spirits, exultant, or proud. Elate could work.
That's quite nice. I like that. Oops, I'm putting these in the wrong place.
All right, gold medal, Kevin. Congratulations. We'll give the silver to Megan for Elevate, and bronze is going to Gareth. Congratulations. Thanks for your contributions, y'all.
Amazing. Okay, let me go back a bit. So something you'll also notice is, and if anyone's ever been on the XD challenges, and I'm harassing Brandon for not naming his layers, it's because I am hashtag team name your layers.
Yep.
Really important, people. Really so important. I can't stress it enough.
Saving and naming layers are two big things. I've definitely done a full 2-hour stream for branding. And at the end, they're like, hey, you should say, like, it's still untitled 1, 2 hours in. Like, yeah, we do want to have a day 2. Like a file would be great to have in day 2.
Oh gosh, I couldn't. The little like asterisk start it gives you after the name, just I'm always like,
it's stressful.
Press save. So Command S is like such a just built-in muscle memory reaction. Yeah, so I'm naming the layers because this will be important when we come to auto-animate. If I were to go to the next screen and name these something else, XD can't match up that it knows it's going to change this thing from, you know, a square to a triangle and that sort of thing. If it's named differently, it can't create the relation and it will just jump it in and pop it. Just, yeah.
Yep. I like to almost think of it as collaborating with someone else on a team, collaborating with a person and thinking through the way that you communicate with them, right? Of saying, hey, I really need that thing to go over here. Is you're basically treating XD like a person and saying, hey, this asset needs to do this over here. And without having things named and organized, it could be very, very confusing, both in the sequence of thinking as a person, but also for the program won't know what to do. And so it is like having a conversation with these programs a lot of the time. You have to be clear in your communication and make sure that you're telling it exactly what you want it to do.
Yes, exactly. So then I will actually use icons for like the rewind and things like that. So, oh yes, I was thinking I was going to have to draw these, but I don't. Oh, okay, no, I don't want that going all the way up there. Thank you.
Just it's somewhere on the artboard. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Because, you know, you might want to skip backwards, forwards. Okay, what did they call it? Replay. How can I find it?
Oh, interesting. Is there not a skip forward?
Interesting.
Which is tough because trying to transform and flip that is going to make the numbers backwards.
Yeah.
Which makes it a little more complicated. Yeah, forward maybe.
Skip. Oh, how could you not?
Interesting.
Got it.
There we go.
Forward
10.
Panic over. That's it.
Yay. We doubted XD for a second.
Oh, I never should. It's always got my back. We want to stop. I've just drawn that. That was really lazy.
And we're talking, this page is specifically for something that people will listen to, but also we want it to be able to be interactive in some way. And so I like that we are paying attention both to the visual experience as well as what will be an auditory experience of them being able to control it, as well as like an actual like touching interface. There are levels to the interaction here, which is why I love watching UI UX, because you have to think about all of the things almost at the same time.
Yeah, there's always so many things. But this is one of those screens where we don't really want it to be distracting, because the user should be using this when, you know, they're about to go to sleep. So you don't want them to have to look at their device. They just want to hit play and let it do its thing.
which is the greatest thing about my Amazon assistant. Yeah. She made a cameo yesterday, so I can't say her name. Is that a lot of times I'll be like in bed falling asleep and be like, oh, I didn't turn on the thing. And I just like roll over and I'm like, play sleep sounds. And then get to like roll back over. And so I love the functionality of like, oh, we want to make it super quick, super easy so that you don't have to be staring at your phone as you use it.
Yeah. It's so good. So that's kind of why this is going to be I'll talk and type apparently. It's going to be a lot more sort of minimal and just have those basic like music controls. Play I don't really know what you call these as a collective, but yeah, control buttons.
Oh yeah, there has to be some kind of name for those section of things.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really surprised if there was not.
Whenever I see design with these kinds of elements, I just think back to like mid 90s Windows when the trend was like, oh, let's make it like on gears that are rusty, and everything was like the most complex system that you can make it, that it's like the guy's head and his ears pop out and like all the controls are on the ears. You're like, well, why did we decide to go through that phase? Like, I love it, but man, it was a move.
Yeah, I remember some of that stuff. It was crazy.
I'm waiting for the comeback. It all circles back, and so I hope that that makes a comeback at some point.
I don't know. I really enjoy like the clean simplicity of how things are.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but
we need cleanliness, but we also need a little chaos. They balance each other.
That's very true. They do.
Oh, it gives you pixel measurements between objects if you have them both selected. That's super handy.
Oh yeah, so if you have that selected and hold down Alt, Alt Option, you get all these amazing measurements, and nothing is too obscure to measure from. So
yeah, that's awesome. Augustine, I'm not sure what you're asking, but how did you change the color of your opacity line when you are in design mode? Can you clear a little bit more detail on what kind of you're referencing? We can see if we can answer that for you.
You mean changing the opacity on these lines?
Maybe.
So there's just a slider here, but there's also like if you press 1, that'll go to 10%, 2 is 20%.
Oh, that's probably
3,
what
4.
It was.
Maybe it's that.
Yep. The hotkeys of the 1, 2, 3, 4 for that's actually super helpful.
Yes. Oops.
You know what? See, you're teaching me things and I'm learning as you're doing these things. My brain is like, can you do that in Illustrator? And so now I want to check and see if it's possible to do those hotkeys for opacity in other programs, because I've never even thought about that existing.
Yeah.
See, this is why I love the streams. Even with the amount of streams that I've hosted and done and been on, you still learn things like years and years into the workflow. Okay, we're trying all the things.
Yeah, that's why I had to turn on the little hotkeys thing, because I used the keyboard for so much that it would be very unfair to everybody watching me if they didn't know or follow what I was doing without it.
All right, not a feature in Illustrator. It works in Photoshop? Okay, wow. All right, well, I need to learn more things. And yes, Val has dropped the app name poll. If you want to go vote on the app name, make sure that you click that link on the poll, go vote for your favorite app name, and we will incorporate that into our design. We've got about 45-ish minutes, 48-ish minutes to be specific, left in the stream before we do Artist Spotlight, and then we will circle back and kind of finish up after Artist Spotlight. But make sure you get those recommendations and vote for the app name. And if you want to refer someone for the Artist Spotlight in the future, go ahead and do that at the tab right next to, there's the chat, then there's info, and then there is Artist Spotlight. So click through those. Check it out. Make sure that you follow Fergie here on Behance, and why not follow Jesse Showalter as well. Go to that info tab and follow both of those accounts.
Okay, so I just duplicated my artboard, and now we're just going to do the sort of play, pause screens so that those will animate together.
And when you're thinking of animation in XD, it's all about kind of the before and after, where thing was and where it's going. And then you can kind of, XD can fill in the gaps, but you need to designate the beginning as well as the destination.
Yes, exactly. So XD can only do so much. And if you don't tell it that something, should be there, then like me with this path, I've realized I've missed out a anchor point. I'm trying to add one in.
And we are voting. Great job voting. Laura, you're going to get our gold medal for voting. Thank you so much for voting in our poll and being a part of the streams. Laura Snaneva has some great work as well. Click through to that account. Really great work over on Behance. We love Laura here on the stream.
Yes. Hey, Laura, how you doing?
And Abdinor, yes, this is Adobe XD that we are working in. Great resource that we love, used mostly for UI UX, sometimes prototyping, sometimes websites, a little bit of everything here in XD. Sometimes I know people that do logo design, logo animations. XD is kind of a catch-all for anything that you want it to be.
Yeah, it really does do everything. I use it for so much. I've used it to draw a floor plan of my flat, so that when I was getting furniture, I knew what would fit where. Yes. I've used it to create all my social media assets, my Behance stream overlays, my Instagram posts, my YouTube covers. I mean, yeah, you can really do everything.
I've definitely used it for hanging pictures on my wall of seeing what will fit where, how to measure everything out, make sure they're in the right places. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's the question. So, and yes, Val, I literally just scrolled to come back to that question. We were in the thick of it when you asked, so we'll circle back to that question. But Augustin is asking about the opacity actual slider. Theirs is blue and yours is pink. And so he was confused about the actual appearance where it has the slider next to the opacity, that color. Is that just like the default that what it is on yours?
Yeah, maybe it's a Mac versus Windows thing. I'm on a Mac.
Oh, that's very true.
Might be it.
Yeah.
I was like, it's pink, really?
Yes.
Even benefits for me, but.
And question for you, and again, I'm trying to merge the questions. We're in the thick of detail work because I know it's the worst to think as you're moving tiny anchor points. But we had a question from Val earlier that we can jump into. The XD Ambassadorship, you talked a little bit about that. Can you tell us more about that? How does it work? What's it like? What do you do? Because I think people could be interested.
Yeah, so I've actually kind of been an ambassador for Adobe for a good few years. It was something that was started 3 years ago. And I've kind of had a relationship with the XD team for a fair while. I'm that person who's always atting everybody on Twitter and always saying on user voice, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. So just got to know folks on the teams. And the ambassadorship is for XD specifically is something that has only been created this year. And it is just a way for Adobe to have folks that support, people like me that will support other XD users online in terms of, creating tutorials and content, also being able to do events when we're, back out and having a bit more of a normal life. Show tips and tricks and things like that. It's not, I think there's a huge misconception that people think it's a thing that I get paid for. It isn't. It's something that I do because I am quite literally obsessed with XD. It is my go-to in life.
Yes.
But it means that I do sometimes get little sneak peeks before the general public of what might be coming up. Also kind of asked about things that I hear the design community saying that they want XD to do that it doesn't do, so I can feed back in things like that.
Yep.
To the right people.
And how would one become an ambassador? How did you get started with it?
everyone hates me when I answer this, but they reached out to me already.
Yeah, cool.
There's there's not a there's not an official application process at the moment, because like I said, it's new. It started in March this year. But if anybody is really super interested, then drop me a message here on Behance, and I can try and put you in touch with the right people. I don't want to say names and things like that here.
The people,
that's not fair to them.
Yes,
but I will connect you with the right folks on the team.
Yep. And you mentioned something that I do want to point out, Val, if you can grab this link, or someone grab this link. User voice is a great thing that I don't think people know about. So user voice is basically just a resource for you to make suggestions, to give app feedback. And it's not just like this ethereal place where your ideas go. They actually, like, Adobe's really good at reading those, responding to those, integrating those. And even some of the channels that I'm in, seeing behind the scenes, like, there is actual action happening on things that specific people have said about specific things. So if you don't know about user voice, if we can get a link somewhere, I think it's uservoice.something.something. So it will exist at some point in chat, but go there, leave your feedback, give your thoughts, because it's the greatest way to get in touch with Adobe about different products. All right, so we did a little bit of animating there, and we're basically just telling XD to go from here to there, right?
Yeah, so you'll see I've got the two screens. Once I did the first one, because I included all the different shapes that I needed, I just duplicated it and then made that little amendment that we needed for it to be to the pause, to the two bars, the pause icon. So you just select the button, because that's what I want to have the trigger on. And I just drag and drop the little blue anchor handle onto the next artboard. I've applied a tap trigger. It's going to auto animate. That's the key thing here. And then we can set the timing. So, it could be a fairly quick one. It could be kind of short. I tend to go with nothing more than 0.6 for these kind of button interactions. But what we're going to do next is we're just going to change some of these waves down here slightly. And then we're going to create a loop so that it looks like it's kind of like constantly playing the sleep sound. Same. So I'm just going to change that slightly, but I'm going to do that first before I duplicate it so that I don't have to kind of do it twice. I want it to change slightly and then change more so that it can then kind of loop back and forth between.
And again, we're just setting that starting point and ending point of, hey, this screen is starting here. These elements are starting here. They are going to end here. And then XD has great tools to say, hey, figure out the middle for us. And it's not just objects, which you've seen in a couple places. It actually applies to anchor points as well. So you don't have to move the whole object left and right. You can actually move anchor points and it will figure out where those are going. I'm doing this a lot because it feels like that is what the vibe is going to be. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just moving those anchor point kind of little pins here, pen tool, and when we move this onto the next artboard, there's two here, it will animate between all of these as we go.
Yes.
So now if I duplicate this again, you'll see it's just literally just this is going to carbon copy for me. Just saves all that copy pasting, and then we're going to do some more changes here. So this is something that I'm kind of doing now because I know that this screen is not super detailed, and then we can just apply the styling to it afterwards, so it makes that quicker as well.
Ooh, the wobbles. Yes, I love when we get like a good ASMR moment on stream, and I never like that. I'm like, ooh, I should like say something and fill the gap. But then I love when I used to just clicking. I'm like, we're gonna let this happen for a second. I love a good ASMR on stream.
Yeah, I have quite a loud mouse as well. It's I have to turn off the sound for the click wheel sometimes because that's very loud when I'm on the mic. All right, I'm just going to use a time trigger here with 0 delay, and then I'm going to say that it could go with a second to start with, and then I'm going to do the same thing back the other way. And because I've just set that up with 0 and 1, it's gonna remember that for us. So hopefully
Prototype.
we're going to preview this and hopefully it works how I'm imagining it to. So cross your fingers. A little sandwich, and you see how it's just going to keep going.
Yep.
And that's because we've made that time trigger loop between those two artboards. And then what we can do is we can just make sure there's a, you know, trigger on the pause button for both screens so that it always goes back. So we have this one set up. We can just add this one here so that it goes back over there on a tap. And then we can pause at any point.
And that is going to also stop the animation, correct? When you hit the pause.
Mm-hmm. It's going to go back to
that screen.
Yeah.
So fun.
So there we have one part of our app ready to go because I actually really like the simplicity of it.
Yep.
Yeah, so we need to start thinking about those colors. I know Val said orange, teal, and a kind of lavender. Did anybody else have?
Yeah, chat, give us any suggestions for other colors. And I do have a question for you. What fidelity do you use to prototype with users?
All kinds. I have put paper prototypes in front of users, so sketches, and then kind of said, okay, do you want to, do you know what's on this screen? What would you look at, and what would you kind of do, just to get an idea of, just to get that baseline of common understanding. I have taken wireframes like low fidelity like these to users. I have taken completely fully fleshed out, ready to ship prototypes with full UI to users.
Yep.
What I would say is it doesn't matter what stage you're at. It could be low fidelity wireframes, high fidelity wireframes, low fidelity UI designs, hi-fi ready to ship. Getting feedback from users is really important at any and every stage. And the earlier you get feedback, the better, because we might design a feature like this, for example, that's going to take an engineering team. Let's say it's going to take them a month to build it. Well, if our users don't want this, that's a month we've then wasted. So rather than testing out on a developed and built real working demo app, I would just ask them to start playing around with prototypes.
Yep.
Because if they don't like something, it's a lot cheaper for me as a designer from a business sense to make that change before it gets to the engineering team.
Yep.
So top tip, always do your testing early and often.
Yep. And that just shows, and we've talked about it a couple times on here, that there is no right way, that it kind of depends on the client sometimes. There are definitely clients that it's professional presentation and recording and speaking through the entire deck. And then there are clients that it's hey, here are the artboards, anything vibing with you. It really depends on what the workflow of the client is. And sometimes one tactic won't work with another one. And so sometimes you just have to adapt and kind of figure it out on the fly. And that's the fun part about being creative. It keeps you on your toes.
Exactly. And it's really fun, always so fun talking to users because they're excited that they're getting this sneak peek into what's going on. And obviously, make sure if it's for a client that everyone is signing NDAs and everything. Don't, have a leak in the newspaper or online or anything like that. That's not what we want. So always sign NDAs. You could also give incentive via rewards, like Amazon vouchers or anything like that. Or sometimes even just offering people coffee and cake gets them in the chair.
Ooh, sorry, you said that. And again, it's the part of the stream where we both start to get hungry because it goes over my lunchtime, over your dinner time. And I just remember you said that. And I remember that I have a pastry in a bag next to me, a little treat after stream.
What kind of pastry do you have?
It is, hold on. All right, chat. This is going to be food stream. We'll give you the beauty influencer look at. It is an almond croissant with a little, it's got the almonds on top. It's got a little filling with some cinnamon in there. Just a little treat to look forward to.
Okay, I want some kind of graphic on here. I'm almost thinking that we might have a sort of minimal-esque UI because I don't want to overwhelm people. Maybe our little friendly guy can come back over here. maybe.
No elbows.
Or maybe one of his friends. Okay, so I'm starting off with this I've got it breath work, but it's, you know, those kind of breathing exercises like you can do on the Apple Watch and things like that. So we're going to create one of these, and again, I'm excited because there's a lot we can do in auto-animate.
Yes.
So I'm just going to, again, I just get in the habit of duplicating my artboards and taking off what I do and don't need. So I don't need that. If we've begun, I just want to repurpose that. So check my spelling, breathe in for, let's say 4 seconds. And I'm going to remove the button. And I want us to do something really fun here.
Yes, and we're going to do a breathing. Okay, how about this? After we finish and we prototype this screen, we'll all breathe together. We'll just take a moment and chat. We can't see you breathing, but we'll trust that you are. Just take a nice little breath collectively across the world.
Yes, we'll do it sometimes. All right, I'm just going to make that. This is just for my own purposes. I'll replace those kind of things later. So we're going to say take a breath in for 4, and then this will expand. So you can like your lungs are filling with air.
Lungs, yep.
And we're going to say, so it's going to be breathe in for 4, and then we'll do it hold for 4. So kind of like I think they call that the box technique.
Yep.
Hold for 4. 2, 3, 4. Actually, let's duplicate this because I think what I need to do is a little bit of trickery.
Ooh.
So then I'm going to say hold for 4.
And I think we're going to get there, but my question is, can you have timed transitions, timed kind of interactions? Yes. Oh, yes. I'm so excited. This is perfect.
So it's going to be actually 4 seconds. So, you know, we can make it real. Breathe out.
Man, it's great how, especially in XD, as someone who's like getting in and learning XD more, we've had a lot of people in chat. They're like, oh, I want to get into it. I want to learn. It seems like a lot of things that as long as you have the idea, there is a way to do it. And it's either integrated or there's a plugin for it. And so if you're feeling intimidated getting into XD, don't be. Just figure out what your idea is and then wiggle around until it's real. There are a lot of great resources for you to learn, but also the program is just super robust to help you make those dreams reality.
So you'll remember what I said about naming layers being really important. So even though I didn't name this little circle, because I'm duplicating the artboard, it keeps the same name across the artboard. So it's ellipse 236, which when you have loads of layers is just like the worst thing. It's a real pet peeve of mine.
Yes.
But if we changed one of these to like just circle, it would completely mess up the like really beautiful animation that we're going to create.
That's nice that if you're working on an animation like that on a screen, if you fix the artboard, all those things are the same. So it's like, okay, I don't have to link anything or do anything. It's like, all right, it's all going to stay consistent. And even though it's not maybe the name of what it is, I know that it is the same thing across the board.
So I'm just going to start prototyping and wiring this up. So we're going to hit our begin button to come over here. So this first screen, I'm clicking on the artboard now. So that is how we get the time trigger. It has to be from an artboard. It can't be from a layer. So I'm going to go ahead and take that artboard and link it to the next one. Got a time trigger. I'm just going to put a 0.2 delay on that. And it's going to last for 4 seconds because we're breathing in for 4. And we're going to leave it on auto-animate.
And so there we're basically making it, because we have had triggers on click, or you have to have some kind of interaction. And there is a way, then what we just set is that you don't have to do anything. There's no click. It's just saying after this amount of time, just move on to the next thing that's linked, right?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So it's just really nice. So for example, how that looks in preview mode, you know, we can hit that begin button. It's going to say, okay, breathe in. And that is going to take the full 4 seconds. So we know that when it gets to this, it's been 4.
That's so helpful.
And then if, you know, when we're changing text and things like that, it can get quite, it can be kind of jumpy between text. So the reason why I duplicated these things, and you can see we've got like so many versions, rather than just breathe in, breathe out, hold, you know, just a few of them, is so that we can have the time transitions, but also have them swap without having any kind of like jarring little kind of jump. And I'll show you again one of my little trick. Probably isn't as secret as I think it is. So we're going to go from breathe in for 4 seconds to hold. And again, we're going to leave it on a time, but this time I'm going to set that to 0 and 0. And you can leave it on auto-animate, or you can put it on. It doesn't really matter what you have it on because it's not going to take any time.
Okay.
But it just stops there being a weird little, like seeing that switch over.
Interesting. So the 0, 0 is basically just keeps it flipped fast instead of any kind of manual. Is it boom?
Yeah, it would just change it without you really kind of knowing or seeing. So then we're going to do hold for 4. So
oh, that's so sneaky, thinking that like it's one screen that's just kind of animating when really it's 2 screens that are just kind of hidden in the animation. That's awesome.
Yeah, because if we had different things going on, or if you make the, I don't know if you make it different colors so that the user can see when it's breathing in, breathing out, and hold, or something like that, then yeah, it just stops that really kind of jarring little thing happening. So we're going to go from holding our breath for 4, so this needs to last for 4 seconds to get to here. We might do something like, we might have something else happen here. I'm not really sure what yet, but I'm just going to like rotate this. I don't think we're going to put.
I wonder if it has almost just like a little bit of like a wiggle. Like it almost has like a little like of a tremble kind of vibe.
Let's do that. Let's add in, where are we? So we're holding for 4. If we do it to here, and if that takes 1 second, and then I'll just duplicate that a few times. So hold, and then here, and then breathe out. Let's push these over.
And we do have about 20 minutes until Artist Spotlight. So if you want to submit someone for Artist Spotlight, you can do so on the tab next to the chat. It just says Artist Spotlight up there. Go click on that. And if you're enjoying this stream and you're like, what's happening? This is so much cool stuff. We're trying to teach you as much as we can as we go. But immediately following this stream is the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. So here on Adobe Live, there are daily creative challenges every day for Photoshop, Illustrator, XD. You can go check those out. They're great resources, and they will teach you a lot of specific hands-on things. I believe Brandon, our friend Brandon, is doing the challenges right now, who has the funnest setup. So if you want to have some fun, get some good vibes, go hang out with Brandon immediately following this stream. Just stick around. And Raphael, is the spotlight for anyone or specific users? Anyone can be submitted. You can submit literally anyone you want. They are chosen ahead of hand. So if you submit it, then you can get featured on a future stream. And so submit and see what happens. You can submit yourself too. I don't know if that's like against the rules, but submit yourself. Why not? Be proud of your work. We all need a spotlight at some point, I think.
Yes, I think so. Okay, so hopefully, whoops, everything's a bit crazy.
I love this part of the process. Hopefully it works. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, hopefully this works. Let's cross our fingers. So we hit begin. We can. So just a little pulsation. Breathe out, and then it will loop back around. Oh, that didn't look very nice. What happened there?
Something scaled to a different place. It wasn't this. Oh, I think that the
that's not
something moved down at some point.
Yeah, that's really strange. 2, 3, 6. Is that not centered?
Oh, maybe it's not centered.
Oh, it's wrong position. Yeah.
It's centered to the content area and not the artboard.
So yeah, there we go. We have our nice little breathing exercise.
Yes.
So that's ready for us to, you know what, let's go ahead and do that now because of time. think this will be a nice little way to do it. So what I want to do is just give this a radial fill. This is where I'm going to need some colors.
Oh yes, chat. If you have any colors, there haven't been a lot of suggestions from chat. I like the kind of like, you had a couple that were red, orange, that like beachy red, orange, yellow, blue one that's down there. I think it's like the 6th one down. I think it's pretty intense colors, but it feels like, yeah, like fun and bright and light, but also a little more out of the zone of like the soft pastels. That felt like a vibe to me. It felt very beachy, which for some reason like is serene in my brain.
Yeah, let's give it a go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try add another color store.
Ooh.
Oh, that's too intense. Let's change that. Maybe I think I'm doing this the wrong way. Let's make that the orange and make this one that deeper red. I don't know. Bear with it. Let's you know, see the effect. I feel like that's a bit too strappy for my liking. But...
Yes, this is the part of the process that I love to tell people and describe as like what do you think about this? Like, I don't hate it. Like I definitely don't like it, but I don't love it and I don't hate it. It kind of just exists at this point, and then eventually I'm sure I'll get somewhere. But yeah, let's roll with it for now. And so when we're adding something like this, are you basically going to create almost like a clipping mask to that object with that kind of color in the background?
Yeah, exactly that. So that when it is like going through, it will change all the colors. So. Yes.
Ooh, interesting idea from James Scott Miller. Greens and browns for kind of an outdoorsman feel. That's interesting. Like maybe greens, browns, maybe a little bit of that like safety orange in there. Feel a little bit like huntery, I think is like the scheme that happens in my brain. That's interesting. Because the green is a calming color. So color theory that technically could work as well. Good job, James.
Let's have a look. Maybe something like that and a grayish.
I did a project for a client, and they live near an area that is called Granite Bay. And I always name colors for my clients just for quick reference. And so we had a beige, and so I named it Granite Beige. And it was one of my favorite things I've ever done in my career.
That's pretty cool. I like naming colors. It just makes it's so much more like user-friendly.
Yep. And especially with if you're passing things off to a team who's going to be referencing things, giving them the language to reference things specifically is so helpful. And so instead of being orange, have it be, you know, popsicle or something that they can reference, be like, oh, we need a shirt that's like more of like the popsicle color. And that way it's not, if you have multiple blues, they're not having to designate which blue, that it's river or it's stream or it's lake blue.
Yeah, I like the idea of the nature colors. So we're going to try this and see how it goes.
And we're basically just going to keep that in the same place so that in theory, the color is staying in the background and the mask around that color is growing and shrinking instead of the actual gradient changing. It'll stay the same gradient with a different clip on it.
Yeah, and I'm just checking that 2176, 2176. Okay, checking that all the names, otherwise it's gonna like huge backfire. You'll see I'm just like taking that number off so that XD knows that it's the same thing. Yeah, okay. Keep going. Try and do a little bit more before we're done. Time flies when you're having fun. Oh my gosh.
That's how it works. And we've been having a ton of fun. We've got about 10 minutes till artist spotlight, but we will go back and do a little bit of review, a little bit of polish up, any like extra stuff we need at the end. We'll probably do a little 5 to 8 minute kind of artist spotlight, and then circle back to finishing up the project. Nothing like reading and talking at the same time. All the words just
right?
turn into one. And it's cool how we've talked about this, that when we're thinking about how people are going to use and experience the app, that we're really paying attention more so to the experience, which we built first, and then the aesthetic second. And so we did all of the experience, all the animation, and then went back and said, okay, what's the aesthetic of kind of the look of things? Because really we want to focus on how they use it and does it communicate well. All right, let's watch our gradient. Cool.
Oh, it's a thing of beauty.
It is a thing of
now you can
beauty.
see that little pulsating a bit nicer.
Ooh, that it feels so good.
Amazing.
That's a really nice gradient too. It's very calming.
Yeah, kind of natural colors. And then even if we went to our document assets, we can add that gradient. So let me click on the rectangle. We can add that in. So then again, if we did want to edit this, how we, I wouldn't have to go through and edit everywhere. So if we decided, well, actually this green stop, we need a little something just to brighten it, it will do it everywhere. So you can see all those gradients.
Man, it's so easy to just have everything set and then kind of just flip it over. And it's again, all about the puzzle pieces. And then you can change those puzzle pieces once they're in the right place.
Exactly. And we can always hit undo as well. So if you do that and you decide, don't like it, just hit undo like you would normally, and it will change that.
Yes. All right. So now that we kind of have a break point in kind of finishing up that thing, let's do the artist spotlight now, and then we can kind of circle back. So if you want to pull that up, our artist spotlight today, again, we love to highlight people in the Adobe community, people here on Behance, and you all that are in chat. And so today, our artist spotlight is Cornell Kazmierzak, I would guess. This is a great one. I love when there's extra accents because I like to guess. So let's take a look. Fergie, any thoughts just like landing on the page in general about the Behance? I know that you're big on case studies, big on presentation. What's the vibe right off the bat?
So straight away, I love how organized that the projects are. So all of the covers, they clearly have a system going on where they're really consistent. You can see which project was done using which Adobe software. So you can see what's Photoshop related, what's been done in XD. And it's just really great for folks to navigate and see, what the things that they're actually interested in, because project names are not always that clear.
And I love the subtle flex of this, that it is both saying like, oh, it's for navigation. But in my brain, seeing from the other side is like, oh, this is a big sell to basically say, I can do all of these things. Like I can work in all the programs. And it's a sell to say, I can use Illustrator, I can use Photoshop, I can use XD under the guise of, oh, this is well organized for you. And maybe not intentional, but I love that idea of really showing off the amount of things that you can do, but also having it being accessible.
Yes, definitely. Which one do you want to take a look at?
Let's do, there was one on the top right that I think was an XD. Let's do, oh, it's a Neumorphism. Ooh, let's look at that one since we talked about it already. We had some kind of conversation about Neumorphism. Do you want to talk a little bit about what this style idea is?
Sure. So Neumorphism has been having a lot of hype the past year. It's kind of a newer style where things are all in that sort of one color, and you're really just using shadows to give the idea of depth and dimension. So it looks super clean, and you can see here they're showing you and explaining kind of the different ways of using the shadow and the different effects it gives. So, having this inner shadow makes it look like something is pressed in. Having a kind of drop shadow combo that they've got here looks like, kind of regular shadow. Then they have a combination of drop and inner that makes it look like something is kind of pushing out from like the page, because it's white. It looks like paper almost. So it's almost like making things look embossed and debossed.
Yes, I like to describe neumorphism as design that's been vacuum packed. Like that's all that I think about is like you made your design and then you put it in a vacuum sealer.
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah, it's a love-hate thing.
Yes, it is very not much my cup of tea, but I do appreciate the cleanliness of it and the craft of like the precision of it. I think is just so calming and beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not very accessible though. When we were talking about accessibility,
yes, appreciates.
Bear that in mind. But,
and yes, go follow. Thank you for the link again. Voodoo Val link, absolute master right there. So thanks for that link. Go give a follow. Fergie, do you want to pick one to jump into? Take a look at.
Yeah, I am thinking. Let's look at an XD one since we're doing UXy things. I'm kind of scared but curious to open this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, they've redesigned XD, my beloved.
Ooh, I love that.
That's so cool. Of course it has a dark UI. It's what everybody wants.
Yes. I love what's happening on the left, that it almost is, it's reminiscent to me of like writing code, which I think is an interesting kind of structure for that it feels like it's lines of code, but with the elements and stuff. I think that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I think it's really, I really like the color picker as well. It's almost got a bit of a web design meets Photoshop.
Yes.
Feel. I don't know what it is. It's interesting. Yeah, they've changed that out. Dedicated assets panel.
Ooh, I love the idea of more Pathfinder align and distribute options. I know that in the future something will exist, and like that, those three are things that at some point when those exist somewhere, that like we come up with some new kind of Pathfinder. I'm just excited for those moments because it seems like we have all the options that we would need, but I'm sure Adobe's dreaming up something that's like, you didn't know you needed this, but here it is.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's like every feature that they create. It's like, hey guys, this is a thing you didn't know you needed. Here you go.
Yes.
It's like,
yes, the content aware fill. I remember when that dropped and I was like, what? I'm so used to just stamping things and being like, oh yeah, I'll just clone stamp it. And then like, wait, I don't have to do that anymore. I can just like remove a horse from a picture.
Amazing. Yeah, they've kind of redone all the layers. It's really cool.
Yeah, easing.
Oh, want.
Oh yes, having like curves for easing and stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. They've thought of so much. This is really awesome. This is such a great project.
And I love the display too. I think it's really hard to display, and we see a lot of portfolios that are just a lot of screens. And even though there is a lot of like the tilty movie kind of screens, I think that it's not necessarily overdone yet. And I think you have a fresh take on it with this. And so I love kind of making the screens, putting them in some kind of context that isn't just like floating squares.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something we can all be guilty of at times. Just like, just render the thing and throw it on the screen. But they've taken so much time to put this together. Really, you can really tell.
And this is a robust case study.
Nice. They've added everything in the color palette. Keep going.
There it is. There it is. Yeah.
Wow. I just love the detail of all of it. Like, I can't even imagine how long they must have spent on this.
Yep. And I really love the long scroll of that. I thought that I was going to hate it and it kept going. And I was like, ooh, I really like that it's a long scroll of just like all of the screens. It felt like super dynamic for some reason. That's a great case study.
That's so cool.
Great
job,
job,
the
Cornell.
kind of perspectives they put on there.
Huge fan. Everyone in chat,
awesome.
Go give a follow. Let's hop back in. We've got about, I don't know how time works, 18 minutes, 28 minutes, one of those two, to kind of finish up here. And so if we want to try to tackle one more screen, if we kind of want to try to prototype from the beginning into some of these, kind of where do we want to spend the last however minutes we have?
Yeah, I think we've got a couple of those done. I was going to do the event mail, but I think putting the app together might be might be a better option.
Yes, Ventmail will have to make a comeback at some point. I'm sure that it's not the end of Ventmail, because that's a really fun idea.
But the idea, I was basically gonna mirror kind of how email looks on your Apple device, so like using the Apple Mail. And then I was playing around with, like, once you hit send, you get that like kind of sound.
Yep.
And it's like,
and then it disappears.
It just like kind of self-destructs.
Yes, it gets launched like toward a recipient and then explodes mid-launch.
Because it's full of so much rage.
Yes, that's.
And then was even thinking around, like, you know, your Ventmail has been sent, like, don't worry, it's not actually gone anywhere, because, you know, thinking if we'll make it look as real as possible, but it's not actually hooked up anywhere.
Yes.
And then the user can say, like, oh yeah, I feel much better. Nope, need to send another one, because also Bob annoyed the life out of me today. Or if it's not really, that could maybe be a way of us directing the user to do a different exercise.
Yes, thing. And also the metrics of actually collecting that information would be so interesting to me. Of having metrics of like, hey, of our 10,000 users, 75% felt better mentally after sending this Vent email, or it's like, oh no, this is not a thing, it just makes you more angry. The actual research of that, I think, would be really interesting for a comeback.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm gonna just like hack this. So no judgment here, folks, but when it's, you know, when it's an idea, it's an idea. Instead of me like drawing this up for a second.
Yes,
because I just want to show you how you can use sound.
I love the moments of doing something like this and hitting a zone where you're like, okay, so like kind of this, but not this at all. Like the idea of this, but like not it. I think that's how the creative process works sometimes, is it's just, yep, like it's kind of this idea, but we need to do something completely different.
Exactly. So,
and a question coming in for you: in which stage do you start animating things, and do you care much about micro interactions?
Yeah, I think micro interactions are quite important, because they're like really subtle hints for the users. Micro interactions are something I will typically do later on, once something is fleshed out a bit more. I think trying to do that in earlier stages can be a bit wasteful. I think there's more important things to focus on, really. So I'm just going to do a tap trigger. I want it to. Now, I wrote this one down. So.
Especially in this process, we've talked a lot about getting the MVP, minimum viable product, out there. That when we're working on this, we had lofty goals. We like got through a lot of it, but then you hit a zone where you're like, okay, we have about 15 minutes left. What is the MVP? What's the idea? And so things like micro interactions have to kind of go out the window, because the core is, how do we sell this idea and tell the user kind of what the concept is, not necessarily the actual application. Because if we spend too much time trying to flesh out like the actual thing, then sometimes it just like goes away and you're like, oh man, that got killed and I spent so much time on it. So we just added something that I haven't seen here. We just added an audio playback.
So, I've just put this little fake screen in. So we're going to hit send, get our little animation. And then with a time trigger, we're going to do an audio playback, because I found a special little sound. So I'm just going to really quickly preview this to show you all. We're going to press send.
That's awesome. That's so fun.
So there we go. Ventmail is a thing, and it's totally okay to, you know, borrow screenshots and not draw this all out manually for something like this when we're, you know, just trying to get an idea down.
Yep. And especially so now, again, we talked about, oh man, we really want to do Ventmail, but we also want to get the app like linked together. We did the most hacked version of the quick Ventmail. And now we have that extra sell to the client to say, oh, there's also this great feature that we're still working on, but like, here's the idea of it. And it took us maybe like 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to connect all of these things up together. You know, we didn't quite flesh it out, but, you know, we focused more on the experience than we did on the branding and everything else. You know, that's kind of a visual layer we can put on top. Maybe I'll do it on my stream at the weekend. We'll see.
Ooh, fun. Oh yeah. So I'll do the shameless plug for you. Fergie does stream on their own Behance. And so make sure you follow. If you hit the info tab over there, there is a follow button. And it should give you a little ding bell in your Creative Cloud or on Behance when she goes live, and you can watch those streams. Those are my favorite live streams. The community live streams are so much fun because they're just like chill and relaxed. And it's just like a good vibe to watch or have on in the background to kind of just chill.
Exactly. You know, I normally have a really chill playlist going on, and we'll just come and chat, and you know, you can play it whilst you're doing some work, so I can just join you in the background.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to have a button for our breath work, a button for our sleep sounds, and one for, if I can click on it, one for our vent mail, and then we can add icons to these kind of afterwards. But let's go up and set this as our home screen so that has a flow. And you can create multiple flows, so we could set the home screen as many different things. So, you know, this could be the full app, for example. I can rename that. And when I go into share mode, if I want to share this with anybody, when I create that prototype link or that embed, then it, you know, is going to share that flow. If I only wanted to share the breath work as a preview to maybe somebody, or to show the developers, I can show them just that section if I create a separate flow. And you just keep everything really nicely managed.
Yes, we love clarity and organization here.
Yeah.
And someone asked the question, will you be finishing a final case study eventually on your Behance?
Oh yes, of course. There will be a case study. It might give me, you know, give me a week, give me 2 weeks, because I'm going to want to flesh out the design. If you know me, I don't like things half done.
Yes, case study eventually.
Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of where we've gotten to at the moment. We're going to sign up or continue actually without an account. Then we ask the user for their preferences. So, you know, we're asking them what is their name and their pronoun. Do they want to have any daily reminders, the things they're interested in? Another idea I had is they could set their own color scheme, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that is interesting. And it feels more personalized. So,
yeah, I just thought it was a nice smaller touch. So if they hit done, they're then taken to our like home screen, main page. They can see some of these kind of stats. They're like, hey, you're doing really well with your meditation. Great, you've only sent 2 vent mails because it means you've been happier this week. We could show them things that are recommended for them. And then we can use our navigation to go through all those other lovely things we've just created, like the breath work.
Yes.
Breathe, people, breathe.
Yes, everyone in chat, breathe, take a breath.
So yeah, I need to link up those back buttons as well.
We got a lot done here.
Where the time's gone.
I know. We have about 10-ish minutes left. What I think would be interesting is, let's do this. So because we know that there's going to be further work on this and stuff, I always think it's interesting when we finish one of these streams in a place where we're like, yeah, we kind of got there, but we're going to work on it some more, of the conversation of, can we go back and kind of look at where we started, the research, the kind of goals we set, and then where we got to. And then I'd love to talk about, like, in your brain, what still needs to happen? Like, what's your game plan going forward? Yeah,
of course. So our goal was to make something that is going to be attractive to kind of everybody. In my mind, I was thinking people 25 plus, but no real kind of super narrow niche. Because like we said in the beginning, mental health and just well-being is really important for everyone, especially now so more than ever. We had a few key aspects that we wanted to keep in mind. Let me just move my mood board out of the way and stretch this out. Because we're in presentation mode, so dun, 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 just like that. A few things we wanted to keep in mind. We wanted it to be frictionless. So this is why I was keeping the kind of design and the layouts really quite simple, really quite clean, you know, not putting a lot of excessive things there that the users might not really need, but also making it, you know, we're thinking about already trying to make it really easy for them to get to what they're looking for. Or, you know, if they know they just need to go and breathe and go to do some breath work, they can just really quickly go open the app and tap that one button. They're not having to search for it. It's not buried somewhere that it shouldn't be.
Yes.
Then we're looking at personalization. So having a level of personalization if you don't sign up, and then an extra level if you do sign up, to give people the option of whether they want to share their data or not, because, you know, sharing our information is something that we should have a choice to do. We don't want to download an app, open it, and the first thing we have to do is tell them every last thing about our life.
Yes.
Then we have the option for guided and unguided. We didn't quite get into this yet, but this was an idea before we had decided what features we were going to make. So I think that's okay. Similarly to the studio bookings and online classes, you know, in the very beginning, we thought maybe this could have been for a wellness studio or like a yoga studio or something. But I think actually what we've created is a lot more interesting. And then we also had a key aspect for letting users go at their own pace. So not kind of barraging them every day with like, hey, you need to do 10,000 things, or otherwise you're not a good person and you've not hit your goal. Nobody needs that. Okay, we don't need added pressure from an app telling us what to do.
Yes. We did have a quick question that we actually talked a little bit about today, but from Kevin, do you think of element sizes like buttons when you're designing for apps like this, which need to be less stressful to use, and maybe do you make them larger than you normally would?
Yes, I was making them a little bit larger. So I had mentioned that buttons need to be a minimum of 45 pixels square, and you'll notice that, you know, I'm kind of using twice that size with for things like our play buttons, and going even a bit larger for the other sound controls down here. You know, the regular buttons here, I've got a height of 60 because you just want everybody to be able to use something.
Yep.
45 is a minimum accessibility requirement, but doesn't mean things have to be that small. I think people love making things as small as possible to fit so much on the screen. I think here, you know, we have the luxury of being able to use that screen real estate just in a more thoughtful way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sure.
So we got through, we only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to kind of skip through a little bit. So we did a ton of research, got all the information, and then got into wireframing and built something out. And where do you think we stand with what we tried to do, with what we have now? And then where do you think that you're going to go next?
Yeah, I think what we have right now is a really thought through, kind of fleshed out proof of concept. So this is something that, you know, I could go and put in front of people to get feedback, to hear people's thoughts. You might see me tweet about it, so you can leave some comments or something on the prototype.
Yes.
Because, you know, getting feedback is real, it does matter. And then next stages from there are to take into account any of those feedback comments, double check back with the things we found out in our research to make sure we're not, you know, making any of those mistakes, and we're taking the things that users wanted, keeping that in mind. And then just to think of a brand that we can put on top of this, really coming up with that brand look and feel so it is consistent and appealing to the users we want to target.
Yeah. And would you say, I think when I watch, what I think about is like architecture and kind of construction, is that now we have the blueprints and the kind of map, and now it's just building it, painting it, all that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We have the foundations.
Yes. Question from Chris Olson coming in. Do you have any thoughts on UI UX certification programs? Are they worth the time and money? That's an interesting question.
Ooh, that is the biggest debate ever.
Yes.
There are options out there that you don't have to pay for. So for example, the Google UX certificate is free. So if you really are looking to learn UX, and you know, you maybe don't have a huge budget for it, I would say go and check that out. And some, you know, well-known designers have reviewed it on YouTube as well. So, you know, things are different for everybody. What's right for one person isn't right for the next. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree with those sentiments. There are so many free resources that unless there's like a really, really big draw to having that sticker or whatever it is, you can learn all of that stuff in so many different ways. One of which being here on Adobe Live. You get some great information, right? We need an Adobe Live certification program. Like when you get an honorary degree, we need to be able to give them out from Adobe Live, I think.
That would be amazing. I think, yeah, it's more important like what you know rather than what certificate you have.
Yep. And one thing that I do want to address or look at real quick is the thing behind you. We've talked about this a lot, and it's a new concept to me that I think was really interesting. Can we talk about the double diamond and kind of how we incorporated it into our process and what it is?
Yeah, of course. So the double diamond is a pretty industry standard process of any kind of project. So let me make sure I point on the right side. So we start off with discover before we do a design. So discover phase of a project is where you're going out and doing the research exactly like how we did on the stream yesterday. You know, we're conducting that research, we're finding out what the users like, what they dislike, what their pain points are, what their needs are. And then once you've got all of that information, you know, you're diverging, you're going really broad, really wide to find out what is the problem that we really need to solve. And then we kind of come into the design phase, which is the second little triangle here. And that's where we're converging. So we're coming back in, we're narrowing down specifically onto something to address. What is the problem we want to solve? And then if I move this way, so that's us doing the right thing. Okay, and then we need to do the thing right. So we need to develop it. So we're going to work with engineering teams in coding that up and building it. So once we've narrowed in on the design, we then need to broaden out with technology, and then we go into delivery. So it converges again and ships out to our users. And there's also, above my head, you'll see an arrow. It kind of is a bit of a loop-de-loop between design and develop. And that's a kind of consistent cycle of, we've designed something, we're building it, we're testing it, does it work? If it doesn't, it just kind of goes back around. So that's kind of an evolutionary, ever constant flow.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We got about a minute left, so we'll take one more question, then I'll make my final announcements. What do you have to say about mockups not doing justice to some designs? Would it be better to just leave the screens as they are, or really try to showcase them?
I think that's not doing it justice.
I think that maybe we're talking about just showing screens versus putting them into a phone or on a mock-up of a laptop or something. Which one do you prefer when you have case studies?
A bit of both. Honestly, if your designs are really thought through and really strong, then you don't need to put a fake picture of an iPhone behind them. Honestly.
Yep, I agree. It's always good to see them in context, but you don't need everything in context. You need to set some kind of context, and then you can just show the work, I think. Absolutely. Yeah,
so you could intro it with one image of one screen on an iPhone, and then for the rest of the case study, you don't really have to, unless you really want to, but it just gets a bit repetitive.
Yes,
it takes up more space.
If you enjoyed this stream, there is more XD coming up right after this. Stick around for our friend Brandon as he takes you into the XD Daily Creative Challenge. It's a place where you can learn some specific details. And again, we'll be back on Adobe Live tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. with our moderator, Voodoo Val, followed up by me. I'll be back at 9:30. Oh, punching my mic. So come hang out with us tomorrow morning. And Fergie, thank you so much for joining us today. This was super fun.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast. I really appreciate it.
So go follow Fergie, because this is not the end of this project. It will live on in live streams on Behance, as well as on social media, again, to get some feedback. So go follow in all of the places. Val will drop those links for you, and we will see you on the next stream. I'll see you tomorrow morning here on Adobe Live. Bye.
Bye, everybody.